The Infrastructure and Services Committee meeting. We'll start with the go here. No conflicts of interest. Apologies. Councillor Holmes, who would normally be chairing this committee, is an apology, along with Councillor Alina and our CE Kim. He's an apology as well. Somebody move those apologies. Moved by Councillor Johnson, second by Councillor Lennox. All in favour? Aye. No one in the public forum. So we go straight to page 6, the Infrastructure and Assets Update. Mass.
Good afternoon, councillors. I'm happy just to talk you through my first monthly report, that's okay. So the first page is just a bit of a general update in terms of what's happening in the Infrastructure and Assets team. A couple of matters of interest which I have provided an individual page for on each is the Opaki Water Race. And the second is Coburn Street, or the new project that we've launched for that piece of work. I'll just happy to take questions as we go if you like. So if I move on to roading, so for the month of April, you can see up the top there on the left, 110 potholes, a number of signage related tasks, 391 jobs were dispatched and numerous corridor access requests received. Emergency works, a couple of new projects awarded. We are ready for upcoming projects. Maintenance, so maintenance grading in Western, Masterton, Morrisville, Bideford and Homewood areas. Renewals as stated. And we've got green statuses for all our projects at this point. No questions on that?
We'll do questions at the end.
Well, let's do questions at the end, Mass. If you do your report.
Oh, okay. All right, got us gold. We'll carry on.
Yep.
Utilities, all is noted. What I'd like to do next month is start reporting on some metrics so you can actually see the number of leaks we're fixing, length of pipes laid, start getting a bit of a profile.
Please be careful of that.
I shall see if I can entertain your wish, Councillor. In terms of our projects are all on track. Water meters, so we're getting ready to start doing the testing on those, so almost completed a number of installs. Upcoming work, so I'm going to be having a look at how we actually outsource the work to see if we can be a bit more efficient in the way that we do that and over what period we do that. At the moment it's some work is packaged but other work is tendered out as the work arises. Projects, assets and compliance. In terms of compliance, we have a resource consents at this point. We are fully compliant with drinking water standards. We have a RED status. And that's not a new report. We talked about that when we looked at the mandatory DIA targets last week. The Hood project, so that has been pulled into 3 projects. So we've got the infrastructure, we have the certification, and then kind of a border enhancement piece of work that we started in that space. I have mentioned Coburn Street there, but I'll probably cover that off in the separate report I have for that. The Youth Hub, so that is underway. We've procured the toilets. We have the design almost ready to go for final consent. We have reduced the scope of work a little bit to try to fit within the financial envelope. Still delivering something quite functional and fit for purpose. Likewise with the animal shelter. we have had to go back to the contractor to seek a revised price, and he's in the middle of producing that, because we have de-scoped that a little, again, to fit within the financial envelope. And we are looking to start physical works in June. Facilities and open spaces. So, a number of activities over the last month, a couple of risks that I have raised there. One in particular is the rec centre and the roofing, and the second is Morley Holiday Park, which we can talk more about, I'm sure, when we present some questions. The projects are all on track at this point. The rec centre maintenance that's been completed, the cemetery upgrade, and we're preparing for some upcoming projects in that space for the new financial year.
Okay, we can probably take questions now on that particular part of your report. Or do you want to go forward on the next one? We'll take questions now. We'll take questions now. Okay, Councillor Lennox.
Thank you, Ms. I appreciate your new revitalised report. Wonderful, thank you. I just have two questions. One around the youth hub. You talk about a slight rescope of the plan. Can we get some visual on that? It's just an area I've been quite involved in. I'd like to see what it's going to look like.
Sure. Yep. Do you want me to talk to that now?
No, not necessarily. It'd be nice if you just could circulate maybe the new plan,
yeah, sure.
The rescope, etc. And just around, and maybe not your area, maybe more around community team, the community development team, just around the plan of how it's going to operate, because obviously things are now happening, which is really exciting, but I just feel like it'll get there, and then I don't want it sitting there with nothing happening in it. So if we can get some thought around that and start planning on that, would be great.
Yes, I can answer that one, Councillor. So yes, the team are currently working on exactly that, cool. In terms of both how the space will operate, but also what we will have in there in terms of activity at the point of launch. And I would say that we don't have a period where we're kind of trying to work it out once it's there. So we'll have a package of things put together, and it will be very much drawing on the initial ethos. So in terms of like conversations with health, so mental health being one of the key bits in that area, so that we're actually activating the space in terms of thinking about youth mental health, youth engagement, those sorts of things. Absolutely. So yeah, that check.
And then my second question is around Morley Park. So it came obviously a little bit of a surprise that it's still struggling. It hasn't been doing amazingly well. But my question is, quite a wee while back, possibly when I first got elected, I did discuss the option and maybe get investigation around looking at the top 10 holiday park brand being a model that's well used around New Zealand. So where are we at with that, or is that in the pipeline to still be an option to investigate?
I think, so we've done a Section 17A review, and the outcome is to, at this stage, we're going to roll the contract over until next year so it aligns with the rec centre.
Yeah.
The top 10 is like a franchise model, so it's really up to the contractor. There may be an opportunity for us next year when we go back out to the market to see if we can be a bit more specific. But I think we need to, ultimately we will need to consider what support we provide in terms of how can we help the existing contractor with marketing, or just get beneath that a little bit more to understand what's happening. But there is another competitor in town, and it's a tight time, so I think we're starting to see that.
Councillor Johnson.
Thanks for your report, Maz. I've just got 3 questions, 4 actually. On page 9 we talk about the Opaki water main upgrade being deferred. My question is that the same water main that connects to Cashmere Oaks? And the reason why I'm asking is because if it is, this has been deferred for the last 5 years. And I don't think that's good enough for that subdivision.
Well, this particular job is due to start from 1 July. So the deferral,
Is for
I think
5
it
weeks.
was, I think it was actually supposed to have been done this financial year.
Well, it was supposed to be done last January,
Oh, okay.
and then it was supposed to be done this March, I think, or January, March. But it's just keeps getting flicked off.
Well, if it survives the LTP, we're going to kick that one off in July.
So could you just check and come back to me that this is the one that we're talking about, which connects to the Cashmere?
It is, okay, I'm getting the job
Oh, it is.
from the experts. It
Great,
is.
okay.
So it's a July kick-off.
So won't have to need a guard dog to go up there then, protect myself.
No.
Right, the next second question is, you mentioned in here about, on page 11, planting of 6,000 natives has been scheduled. Where is that planting being done?
Oh, I'll have to call on the expert there, sorry. Oz, are you able to answer that?
Yes, so it's the Southern Escarpment, Southern Reserve Riversdale Beach.
Oh, Riversdale,
So it's
okay.
part of that eco-native planting system,
Okay,
and part of it will be part of that dune restoration work on Bodle Drive.
thank you. Just didn't say it was at Riversdale, so that's fine. And the other thing I wanted to ask, you talk about ash scattering at the river. Is that ash from the fire or people ashes?
People ashes, it's not Oz.
Cemetery, Riverside Cemetery.
Okay, all right. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions, Councillor Goodwin?
Couple, sort of sits over the top of some of this is, I'm wondering if we can get some sort of written report in due time on where we are with the, was it the Kentworth report that Tim got, I think it's called Kentworth, was it knee bottom or something?
What report?
What's
That
it?
came out in March?
Oh, Kneebone.
Kneebone.
Are you talking about code?
That's the one. Yeah, well, it's
So
certainly
there is a page, an update?
But I'm just wondering how that is going to be incorporated, if you can tell us how all of that is going to be incorporated into Esper.
Oh, how I can tell you, sorry, you want me to tell you how that work will be incorporated?
Yes, how its recommendations and points raised will be incorporated into our.
Well, it certainly will be. I mean, at the moment it is a project, so we're gathering data, and then we have a pilot that we are going to run, and that will include some gear and collection of real-time data. And then once we've got that, we go through the roadmaps and we work out, okay, what do we think needs to happen across the district after the pilot for stormwater and wastewater. And then that needs to go in the asset management plan, which will then be reflected in the LTP and so forth.
Okay, thanks. And this one, stop me if it's the wrong time or place. In audit and this, we discussed some issues in asset management that have come to light. I'm anxious to have a discussion about that somewhere other than a report of what were the problems and we learned the people. We've got to look forward, not backwards.
I'm happy to have that discussion with you.
Yep.
Okay, Councillor Tootin.
Would you mind expanding on this ashes business?
I'll just call on our manager of facilities and businesses.
And Leanne can probably help support some of this. Obviously, there's a bit of a delay between when this report was prepared and today.
Yes.
Since that time, obviously, Greater Wellington Regional Council are doing some realignment work on the Ruamhanga and the Waipo River confluence. And during this process, local hapu have come forward around an opportunity to develop that Riverside Cemetery space. And we'll probably potentially move away from an original concept of an ash scattering sort of natural, sort of native planted area. So we're going to have a look at having a talk to see what local hapu have in mind. It's got some relevance to a local former pa marae site. I just can't remember the name of it off the top of my head now. It's something like Pawaka.
Otairo?
Okay.
Yeah.
You happy with that, Councillor Tudor?
Yes, all right.
Any further questions on these? Councillor Tudor again, yeah?
Also, on the water meters, would I know if my meter's connected? How so I can tell other people how they would find out, you know?
So we haven't quite got to that point, councillor, but we will do a bit of a launch and we'll make sure that there is public awareness around that. Yeah.
Okay.
Councillor Nelson and Councillor Johnson.
Thank you for your report. Just some clarity. So the second document is being referred to soon, is that right? The attached document with the updates,
yeah.
broken updates. So we haven't covered that yet.
No.
Okay.
No, we haven't, have we, Matt?
No.
We'll move on to that. Yeah, Councillor Johnson.
Just on Marama's point about the water meters though, if you've got a blue box outside, you can see the numbers. If you turn the tap on, you can see the numbers going. And if all the taps are off and the numbers are going, you've probably got a leak. So people can actually check that their water meters are going now, if that's helpful. Because some people have identified that their water meters are going without their taps on, so therefore, could be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thank you, Engineer Johnson. Any further questions? One question I've got, Mayor, is on the Morley Park one, where you say at the bottom, the NDC to take a strategic look at the long-term viability of the holiday park. That's not a warning to us that the park's necessarily in a big financial strife or.
No, I think it's an indication where that for the park to continue on, it will may well need some additional support from council. There are some things that is coming through around why it's potentially not occupied as much as other places, and it's things like the units aren't necessarily standalone, so they don't usually have an ensuite, for example. So, you know, we may need to have a discussion as we move forward around some potential upgrades, or how do we respond to that?
Just one question, sorry, just you referred to the competitor of Morley Park, I presume that's the Motorhome Association's park?
Yeah, it's the
Restart?
relatively new one, isn't
Yes,
it?
yeah. Thank you.
So this is something that council obviously needs to keep in mind, that, you know, it's an issue that we need to be looking at in the relatively near future.
Yes, and I haven't really got under the hood on exactly what we can do about it, but it is something that myself and the manager will be looking at over the next coming weeks.
Yeah, Councillor Johnson.
I think that's an interesting point though, because since Morley Park's been going, Solway Showgrounds has come along, NZMCA has come along, Morley Park's always been there, so quite often it's easy to say the reaction is because we've got another player in the market, and so I'm glad you're looking under the hood, because Morley Park is quite distinctive compared to the other operations. Like NZMCA, you have to be a member, there's no facilities there. I mean, people park at Henry Lake, they could go to Morley Park, so I'm really pleased that you're doing a 17A review, because it needs to be taken apart and then put back together again to see what the real reasons are. you know, it's easy to often say there's another player in town, so that's why we're down.
Yeah, no, I think, well, I'd like to think that we can be a little bit creative, think outside the box. Not saying that that's going to, you know, solve anything, but maybe just having a different lens on it might be of use.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Johnson. Councillor Johnson, Councillor.
And it may be worth, looking at, because maybe David Powers could remind me, but I don't know, it was only about 6 or 7 years ago that we sort of went through the same discussion and spent a lot of money upgrading it. Might have been 8 or 9.
That would be 15 years ago, I think, Councillor. I think Council invested significantly in some units that were self-contained that have en-suites and motel quality, as well as cabins that have always been in the park and campsites. And that investment increased the revenue significantly from where it was at around 100,000 a year. It now sits at 350,000 a year.
Well, it may be worth digging that out anyway.
Yeah, but if there's a further investment needed to meet the standards of accommodation that the market is looking for, then that's the sort of thing we will look at in terms of the business planning going forward.
And Mayor, to just, because people out there will be listening to this obviously, it isn't as simple as it of saying that if it's not working, we get rid of it. It's not that
No, not at all. I think one of the challenges for myself and the manager of Parks and Open Spaces is to actually think what we can do to really lift the profile and make it more attractive, and, you know, what are the options out there. I'm certainly not advocating for, you know, for closing Royal Park or anything of that nature at all.
Okay, that's good. All right, now you've got other reports there.
Yes, and I'm happy to take questions on the other 2 reports now, if that...
Do you want to talk to them or...?
Yeah, sure, happy to talk to them.
Yeah.
Pretty self-explanatory, I think. The Storm and Wastewater Strategic Project is the project that we agreed to form after we received the technical report from GHD in response to the issues in Coburn Street and other associated streets. So we've set up a project team, and the members are on the report there. As I've said, the key sponsor, our project sponsor is Kim, CEO. I am the director, and Lisa Neal is the project manager. And we have a mixed project team, technical experts, strategic people. We have people on the ground, and then we have Tania from strategy and planning, and we have an external resource. So we've pulled the work into 3 different streams because some of this work we need to do in parallel. So the first one is what we're currently at, and we have been for a number of weeks, and that is continuing to collect data. So really understanding what the situation is up there, where there may be potential cross connections, and what's happening in wet weather. So the data collection stream is currently in play, and as of today, I think, or maybe yesterday, we've actually just finished the smoke testing exercise. The second work stream, is the strategic roadmap, and this is where we actually work out what it is that needs to be done district-wide with stormwater and wastewater, using the Coburn Street and the associated streets in the area, Taranaki, Okatu and Party Place, Ruapuni Street in the trial. And following that, we expect to be able to shake up the numbers and the solutions and then bring that back as part of the annual planning process. It's going to have to be a long-term project, I imagine, considering the potential costs related to that. And then in parallel with all of that is the communication and stakeholder engagement. So obviously it's really important that we keep the residents up there informed, particularly those who have been impacted, and communicate with them what's happening and where we're up to. We have scheduled a information evening for the 12th of June, where we have invited the impacted residents into the office here. We plan to walk through the report and take questions and talk to them a little bit about the project and what they can expect from us.
Okay, any questions? Councillor Nelson?
Comment or question?
Question, comment or question?
I feel it's really good to finally have an actual strategy to address this, so I congratulate you on that, because I haven't seen one before. And I like the 3 streams. And I think an incredibly important part of this is the communications one, because people are always going to feel so much more relieved when we might be doing work streams 1 and work streams 2, but if people don't know what's happening in work stream 1 and work streams 2, they may as well almost not be happening in their eyes. So I just want to reiterate how important that communication and stakeholder engagement is, to be prepared to front up, to answer questions, to share information, and just to make sure that these people who have had a really tough time feel like they're being heard, and it's something that goes on and on indefinitely until the problem's actually resolved. So I feel that if they feel like they're being listened to, they're going to feel like that we're actually taking their concerns into account, as opposed to fobbing them off, which I believe has happened in the past. But this report here isn't fobbing someone off, it's actually addressing that issue that's been happening for years. So thank you, and I really do mean that about communications, it's incredibly important.
Thank you, Councillor Nelson. I just, words falling off, I think certainly there could be improvements in the communication for sure. I'm not so sure that we were deliberately falling off at any stage, but I think that, we need to do better.
I would like to say we were, because it was happening for a long time.
I appreciate that.
And if I was one of those residents, I would feel like council was.
I think to some people
this
though,
isn't, and this is a good strategy in my eyes.
Okay, now next, anything else? Councillor Goodman?
Yes, they've got any plans of rolling out sort of parallel with this in some way? The issue of private landlords, smoke testing on a broader scale, and obviously there would be some policy issues we would have to address. Have you got any plans for that in the next sort of year or so, moving down that line a little bit?
I haven't quite got to that point, Councillor, but I think there are a number of things that I will end up touching over the coming months, which are all about asset management and understanding the condition of our assets. Things like CCTV and smoke testing, but my focus for now, up until now really, in terms of the wastewater infrastructure, has been trying to just come to grips and understand what's happening in Coburn Street, and get under the hood on the other areas of infrastructure. But things of that nature will certainly be on our radar and the program in the future.
And like the infiltration strategy, which was due for renewal in 2019. Things like, what I've been looking for is things like that being
There'll be a number of things, like I said, that will hit the radar, like that kind of prevention policy. There are a number of policies and plans in place. Some of them may very well be current, and others may need to be revisited.
Councillor Turton?
You've used the term quite a few times today. I don't understand smoke testing.
Okay, so smoke testing is when a provider will put smoke up pipes so that they can detect if there are any cracks or deterioration or leaks in the pipe, and then the smoke will come out. It's quite a commonly used method.
And if it's
Any further questions? Okay, you've got nothing else, Miss, on that report?
No, not on this one, but
Oh, you've got,
OPEC.
okay, yeah.
So the OPEC water race,
Sorry, just to clarify a bit further on that, the smoke testing also, one of the common things I thought it was, for instance, identifies stormwater illegally connected to wastewater.
yes, it was commonly used for that also.
Okay, Miss, we'll go on to the OPEC water race.
The OPEC water race, a couple of months ago, I gave you a brief update on this and we agreed that a bit of a synopsis might be helpful, just to kind of reset how we got to where we were and the decisions that have been made. So I kind of, laid that out there. The most recent conversation has been with the Wellington Regional Council. There was interest in us potentially extending or getting an extension to the extension on the resource consent. So the agreed closure date by elected members was June 2026. There was interest in seeing what an extension past that date looked like. And Wellington Regional Council have, in my mind, they made it pretty clear that that's going to be a real challenge. They've already issued the draft consent, which is based on a number of conditions, but it's also based on the closure in June of 2026. So if there was any appetite to revoke or reverse that decision, the impact would be, I think it would be quite significant in terms of cost, workload, and there would be a number of additional things that Regional Council would require of us that they currently are not calling for because they know about the closure.
Okay, questions, Councillor Johnson?
Thanks, Mass. I just want to clarify something. We've got cost to date on page, second to last page. You've got external experts estimate at 20k. That's a NDC cost to date. And then you've got the costs that the water race was to remain open, and that would be an NDC cost, correct, if it remained open?
So it would depend on the decision that elected members made.
Yeah, no.
But potentially, yes, because we would have to outsource that work.
So my question is now, then at the end of the report you say, we will commit to assisting the users to find an alternative solution. So that will be a cost.
Yes.
But would that be an external experts cost, or would that be officer time cost?
I think it will depend on what we deem to be reasonable, and we might put a little bit of money into assisting in that area, but I would not be advocating for engineering reviews or designs on alternatives or anything of that nature.
Because I just wanted to get an idea, we know what we've spent, we know what we would spend if we reversed it, but there's a little bit in the middle, isn't there?
Yes, and I see that more as being officer time.
Yeah, and we have a responsibility to do that, I believe.
Yes, and I think that is what council committed to.
But then when we come to June 26, D-Day, no more costs anywhere.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Any further questions?
Thanks.
Yes, Councillor Day.
I've got a question. I'll give you the question, then I'll put on some echo. How long does a man-made waterway have to be in place before it becomes a natural waterway? I'm using the fact that when this Paki water race is closed, there will be significant destruction of species within that waterway that are now caught home. And we're not just talking a duck, we're talking eels, freshwater crayfish, those various we call them native species. So that is something that needs to be taken into consideration here. Now, if it was a natural waterway, we would not be closing it. So 100 years, 200 years, a man-made waterway has to come into play before it's called a natural waterway.
I'm happy to respond to that if you want. So as part of the draft consent, there is a condition to produce a closure management plan, which will require us to speak to how we're going to deal with some of those matters. I don't know what the answer is to your question, but we won't be able to just walk away and leave it. There will still be some engagement, and so we'll have to look at that.
Because my concern is, we saw with Masterton and the new pond centre, the amount of money that was spent on rehoming a native species of, I think it was very small fish there. Now, I would hate for us to get in a situation where all of a sudden we're having to spend hundreds of thousands in order to rehome native species that have made it their home.
You don't have, you have to walk through.
I don't actually.
I just see it as something that would trip us up.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that analysis has been done, yet, councillor, but I think as part of the closure management plan, we'll be able to do that.
Thank you.
Any further questions from us? Yeah, Councillor
Just one more question. I noticed that you met with a small group of OPEC water users. I think it's interesting that it's not all the group. That obviously some people it's really important to, and is it not all the group because the others couldn't make it, or is it not all the group because it's important to some but not of value to others?
The group that I met are, they don't represent all users.
What sort of percentage are they of the users?
Probably about 10%, maybe 15%. So,
okay, can I just follow up on that?
Yeah.
Because, we've seen it with submissions. You can have 30,000 people in your community and you hear from 800 and you go, yay. But what about the other 29,200? I mean, I know there's kids there, I'm just being creative. But do you see what I mean?
Yes, I do.
If only 10% of the water users are represented in
that group,
noisy wheel,
we have had communications from...
Not being disrespectful, I'm just saying that we need to hear from everybody.
From other users throughout the consultation period who were equally as interested in the closure of the
That's what I'm saying. It's difficult, isn't it?
The group, I think it's fair to say, Maz, isn't it? The group that's come and seen us have been very aggressive in the sense that they believe that they've got the support of most of the people.
Yes, I think that would be fair to say.
Okay.
But also isn't the water resilience strategy refers to this about not rushing into it. And we've got the aquifer data coming 6 or 8 months, which may have some influence on it. Specifically referred to in that strategy.
The strategy was, in my view, it was neutral.
Yeah, well, it still made some comments about it. What I took out of it was wait until you get the geomagnetic information, survey information, which supposedly is 6 or 8 months away, and then look at it.
I think we're going to find ourselves in a really challenging position if we keep revisiting this. If we don't draw a line in the sand somewhere.
Okay. Right, somebody prepared to move the recommendation on page 6 that we received Maz's report, basically. Moved by Councillor Bailey, seconded by Councillor Tudor. All in favour, say aye.
Aye.
No, thank you, Maz, that's great. Thank you very much. We now move to page 12, the community update. Cora.
Thank you. I'll come up the front because I've got councillors with their back to me. Thank you, councillors. So I'll take the papers ready, just to note a few pieces. Obviously, noting that the Youth Council's been quite active, and it was very pleasing to see them in the LTP hearings. And the school holiday program, which successfully ran, and we had some very good feedback after that program as well, which was great to see come through. And you'll have in your documents there the Riverside Beach Community Plan, which will be launched in late July, and it's great to have got that to that point there, and for your reading pleasure. Just noting too, in the report, there's been some ongoing issues around parking in Colombo Road around the sports fields, and we're just noting there that we will be issuing fines in relation to that parking. It's a health and safety issue, and that's basically we're really keen to dissuade that activity. But also in the good news space, Wagging Tails is coming up, which is a initiative we're launching in the animal control space, which will be around some self-directed walks over 6 weeks in the Masterton area with prizes for participants. And that'll begin on the 7th of July at Henry Lake, and we're also looking to have a night glow event with a walk around Kiwi Park as well, and people will be able to scan QR codes, I believe, which will be part of their entry into participating in that. And just finally to note too, you remember at the last meeting I mentioned Taking Care of Business, which was an initiative, and that's now launched. So that's to assist new businesses or businesses making significant changes to help them understand all the requirements that they'll need to fulfil to launch their business, and make council a lot easier for them to deal with as they go through that. And I'll take questions.
Okay, questions for Colin. Councillor Tutor.
Colin, I noticed that you've under the Disability Advisory Group, you've got that been advertised and closed. But I'm wondering when more things happen.
As quickly as possible in that space, we've got to do a bit more work and bring a paper back to council, which we'll be doing in June. And then we'll be looking straight after that, basically, to notify people that are chosen to be on the group, and obviously notify the people who've been unsuccessful. We are in the pleasing position of that we've had a lot more applications than there are positions, and that's a great sign in terms of engagement of that. So that we'll have a really good advisory group, and we want to get that underway as soon as we've got all those positions confirmed.
Now, I understand there is room for iwi to have members.
Indeed.
When will they be notified?
So that will be, this councillor is there. Do you, any idea of the timeline of that?
Yeah, so that's gone through to Leanne. We're hoping the next couple of weeks, wasn't it, Leanne?
Yeah, I've sent out to iwi and to the Kahunu Ki Wairapa. I've sent it out to everybody, so I've seen it come back round. Have you not received it, Brian?
No, it's just that someone had asked me what was happening, and she's playing time.
You know, I went to Mihirangi to disperse. If you give me the contact later, I can send to you directly.
Okay, Councillor Bailey.
No, I don't have my hand up, but I'll go.
Councillor.
I've not had my hand up.
Okay, Councillor Bailey.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Corin, thank you very much for your report. 2 questions. Interesting that you're issuing parking tickets on Colombo Road. I've heard a few people say to me we're now issuing tickets at the hospital car park. I find that to be maybe a bit harsh on people.
That's on the road, isn't it, on the road?
The hospital car park is a private car park.
Yeah.
They may be issued tickets on the public road that is around the car park.
Yeah. And one other one is I see dog registrations are coming out. Maybe David, can you just remind me of total income from those fees?
That's a challenge. to drag that one out of the bottom of the memory banks.
Only 70% of what it should be.
I think it's around 320,000 is our dog fee revenue number.
So if, like, for future reference, just use 350, that would be, okay.
Yeah, I'll confirm that just.
Thank you very much. Get back to me later.
Councillor Johnson.
Hi, Corin, thanks for your report. Just a couple of things. One is, we mentioned about parking at Colombo being a problem. One thing is, that the problem's not going to go away because rugby and netball are so popular. So I just wondered whether you guys might think about whether we could create more parking during the winter season. So that's the first thing, because I don't really like the whole stick and not carrot thing. You know what I mean? But the other thing is too, I wonder whether, if you haven't done it already, whether council could communicate to what Netball Wairapa and also to Pioneer prior to, like now, to say, this is an issue, these are the reasons people can't park on the grass, could you please advise your members, blah, blah, blah. But I think it would look better for us if we were able to create a winter space parking opportunity.
So
Can I answer that?
Yeah,
So
sure.
the tickets that are being issued
Yeah.
are to people parking over the footpath, and they're parking over the footpath to watch the rugby game that's happening on Pioneer. So one, it is blocking any of our pedestrians. They can't walk that side of the road, and often the cars are parked in such a manner that they're also overhanging the street, overhanging the road, so therefore creating a safety issue with that as well.
Okay.
We've got the overflow car park, which is just across from the in Henley Lake as well. So it does mean that people may have to work a little bit further, but there's all that overflow car park at Henley Lake and all of the other parking around there.
Great response.
Yeah.
No, I thought they were just parking on the grass.
No.
Yeah,
No.
but even just an email to maybe Scott at Netball and Pioneer, just say, hey, this is a problem and we will be enforcing it.
I think we may have already done that in the past.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
Okay, great. No, you guys are onto it.
Yeah.
And the second question is, on the page where you talk about welcoming communities, you talk about approval secured from all 3 iwi entities? What? How come there's 3?
Councillor, do you know the,
We've only got 2 iwi here.
well, there's actually technically
Well, no, but you've
4.
got, no, but the 2, settlement, there's still only 2 iwi though, aren't you?
Yeah, that's correct. So I think the third arty was referring to in that report was Tia for the signing of the statement of commitment.
Oh, well, anyway, that's,
Yeah.
I just thought of,
Yes.
Yeah.
shit, I must have missed something.
Yeah.
Sorry, may I speak?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is this regarding the statement of commitment, or was this?
No, this is just the welcoming communities statement of, commitment.
Yeah, so given that we have a relationship with the 2 kahununu entities, there are only 2 post-PSGEs, but we have a relationship with the third one in regard to community matters. So
There's still only 2 iwi though, aren't there?
there's still only 2
Yeah.
ngatas.
Thank you.
Any further question? One question I have, Corin, regarding the parking situation, and it's been brought up to me a number of times, is that there was at one stage we were looking at that green space in Church Street, which is contaminated land, and nothing happens to it. And we were looking at one stage about using that as car parking. Has that gone any further, or was that scotched on the head? I can't remember what happened there.
Hasn't gone any further at the moment. That's, I'm looking at Oz's direction because it's a facilities thing as well. So we haven't investigated that as a car parking space. It's been, there's been consideration in terms of urban forest in that land as well, but there's nothing, no plans for that at the moment. But that's certainly something that could be looked at. We just need to look at access, because it's on a corner, how that would work in terms of safety as well, coming in if it was used as a high traffic car park.
It's just that it's pretty well positioned for the netball course in particular, but also for the Pioneer Rugby Club. I mean, I could see that area, we're not doing anything with it, we almost concrete it over and seal it over and use it as a car park. So anyway, it's just a thought. Any further discussion?
As a discussion time? Yes?
Yes,
I just wanted to add to your report, if that's, am I allowed to add?
Of course you
To
can.
your report? Okay, thank you. I just wanted to note, in regards to the refugee resettlement group, is that yes, we've given $30,000, which has been outlined in the report, what we're using it for, but we did also put through, at that time, a grant application for an employment expo for the community, which got denied by the initial group, but MSD has come forward and they're giving us the money, $9,800 to run the expo, which is going to be awesome. So Kelsey and the team are working towards that, so that's going to give those guys some opportunities to see what employment options there are and skills that they can learn. So yeah, I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Nelson?
Just thanks, Colin, for your report. Just to reiterate on that school holiday program, that feedback came directly to me and it was extremely positive about, I can't remember the person who runs the program.
Tammy.
Yeah, but it was so positive, it was really nice to hear. It was massively appreciated by people in that community. And also around dog safety as well, that person's recently been to Lakeview School and again, extremely well received. So two fantastic pieces of service. So thank you on behalf of that community.
Gary, in terms of the school.
Thank you for that. The other thing, two sentiments with thanks. The Riversdale Beach Community Plan, I know that we've had a number of people from out there quite saying how good the communication was with Riversdale, how helpful the staff have been in getting that plan up and running and how well that plan has been produced. So thank you for that as well. Okay, somebody now prepared to move the recommendation.
So I've got an answer for
Okay.
The total cost of the animal control function is $823,000. The revenue that we receive external is $574. Of that, $500,000 is from animal control fees, the dog fees. The rest is penalties and infringements.
Thank you very much.
And he did all that from his head, didn't go to the computer.
Is it here to express that in just a different way of saying it's about 3/4% of rate?
The funding 70-30 split, which was the council policy, 30% of that cost.
The quantum of money as a percentage of rates, it's about 3/4% or something.
The rates input or the total cost?
The rates, the total rates.
3/4% would be about right.
We collect, this is 3/4%.
Okay, will somebody now move the recommendation that we receive Corin's report? Thank you, Councillor Bayes, and Councillor Lennox. All in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much, Corin. We now come to page 29, the building and planning update, and that's Karen.
Yes, thank you. Just a fairly straightforward update on our stats in building, continuing the theme of building activity being lower than last year, and we've got an update there on some of the national trends that we thought was helpful for elected members and the public to have a look at. So we can see how we're tracking. And then into our planning statistics, just slightly up last year. So happy to take any questions, and we have our building consensus manager here who can answer any building questions.
Any questions?
Just in regards to I guess the flow of work and the volume of work coming in is obviously really low. The guys and girls have nearly completed their pool inspections and consents are really low. So is there enough happening, like in the project space? I guess the dog pound, I guess is there enough work happening to keep our people busy within the team?
Yeah, there's one of the main things we've done is stop using contractors. It's come to just about a zero point on that. So it's just leaving our staff to do most of the work.
Okay.
Whereas often we've floated out to contractors, we get really busy.
So one more question on that, so.
Sorry, I also had,
Oh, yes,
so
yes.
also, of course, we've got our irons audit coming up, so that takes a lot of work, and we're also looking at some further training for our team in order to keep on top of that. And you'll know we've talked about organisational-wide continuous improvement projects, so we'll be looking at those and looking at our process of taking the opportunity for the slightly quieter time to look at how we can do things better.
Awesome. And so on that note, I know that historically we've sent quite a few of our consents like down to Christchurch to get processed and things like that, so I presume they're all being done internally now?
Nearly all of them, not quite all of them, but nearly all of them. So, yeah, we were using a number of processing units up and down the country, but yeah, we have one left focus that we have a contract with, but all the other contracts we've not used any of them.
Well, thank you.
Any further questions? Gee, Karen, you're going to get off light.
For a
Okay,
change.
somebody prepared to move the recommendation that we received the update from Karen, thank you. Councillor Lennox, second to Councillor Johnson, all those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. Well, that ends the meeting and we'll end the day back here. Thank you, staff. Thank you, councillors.